Hello and welcome. For Realistic Scenarios, I'm Andrew Hubert, and today we are continuing our talk on stakeholders and communication. A stakeholder, you will recall, is anyone who is affected by your team's decision or has an influence over those decisions. Today we are differentiating stakeholders based on their power and their interest. The table of contents for today's talk: stakeholder analysis, stakeholder management, and stakeholder communication. So our analysis is designed to divide up the universe of stakeholders into three big groups. First, we want to look at who can say yes. Remember, here we're looking at who has the ability to say yes, who has the ability to say no, and who has the ability to say maybe or later, or cheaper, or bigger, or smaller. All right, so the people who can say yes, they have the power, they have or sometimes the responsibility to give you the final approval. And this is a small group. In a lot of organizations, this is one person. And in many cases, especially in Asia, especially in Vietnam, the number of people who can, you may not be very clear on who this person is. The numbers are not only small, but they may be hidden. Who can say no? This is a larger group. This is part of your problem as a decision maker. The people who can say no to you tends to be kind of big. And that includes all the gatekeepers who are not saying no to your proposal, but saying no to your access to get to the real decision maker. And the number of people who can say maybe or later or cheaper, number of people who can influence your proposal after it's been approved can be pretty large as well. This is something you need to be on the lookout for. So how do you manage your stakeholders? Let's look at stakeholder management. So stakeholder management is the second class of decision you have to make. You're looking at power, you're looking at inclination, and you're looking at interest. So power is that ability to say yes or no. And as we talked about, there are a lot of people who have power to say no. A smaller group has the power to say maybe, but the number of people who can say yes is fairly limited. So once you've decided on power, your next decision is who supports your idea, and who opposes your idea. And that brings us to the subject of their interest. What do they care about? And you've got to look at what people care about and how they are going about making their decision about whether or not they support or oppose you, and what their power level is. And the first thing to decide is, do people have real influence over the decision? A lot of stakeholders need to be addressed, but they don't really need to be persuaded that much. They just need to be given the facts. And after that, you may have to really focus on the people who have the power to say first no, but then yes. And finally, stakeholder communication. There are three classes of communication that you are going to be focusing on. You're going to be mobilizing those who have less power than you. If you have people who work for you, people who are taking your instructions, you just want to get them moving, and you want to make sure that they're moving in the right direction and doing what you need them to do. Someone on the same level as you, someone within your team or someone you've done business with before, and they know, they have a vested interest in your decisions, you can persuade them. And this also applies to people who have the ability to say maybe or later or cheaper after you've gotten the initial yes from the real power people. And as far as the real power people go, you want to influence. If you are presenting or negotiating up to someone who has more power than you, you are best off starting with an influence position, giving them the data, giving them the facts, giving them, framing the discussion in a way that favors you, and then moving on to persuading. Final word, stakeholders should be judged based on their power and their interests. You have to decide if your presentation is designed to mobilize, persuade, or influence. Thanks very much. I'll talk to you soon.